Welcome to Playing Now, the podcast with your host, Byron Booker, where we explore the best content in the universe. Today's show is going to be epic. Stay tuned and let's have some play. Welcome back to Playing Now. I'm your host, Byron Booker. Today I'm joined with
JC, baby, what's up?
That's right, the podcast dedicated to the best content on the planet. And today's is a documentary film.
Yes, all right. So I'm going to intro this doc for you.
Okay.
Because unfortunately you haven't seen the movie yet, but that's okay. You will, and I'll make sure of that. Trust me, because it's an absolute classic from our time period, okay? The best decade in film, the 80s.
Okay.
Don't even deny me that.
80s babies, I'm representing.
That's it, dude. We're 80s babies. We grew up in the decades. Best decade for film. So this movie is a documentary about the film The Monster Squad. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's called Wolfman's Got Nards because it's a very classic line in the movie. He kicks the Wolfman in the nuts, and you know they have an argument about whether or not he's got nards. And the kid's like, Wolfman doesn't have nards. It kicks him, and the Wolfman's like, oh, and he's like, Wolfman's got nards. You know.
Okay, so is this like the spirit of like Goonies, or is this
kind
more
of a... because in the way that it's a kid cast. So it is,
so that's
you
the
know,
demo.
you have the one kid that's kind of like Chunk. He's like the chunkier kid. He's the comedic thing.
Right.
So after Goonies happened, you know, kids' films kind of followed suit. You know, films that feature children kind of followed suit to an extent. And the Monster Squad, in that sense, does. Right. But in the sense of the kind of movie it is, not at all. Because this movie is technically about the classic Universal monsters coming back. Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy. All those dudes, they come back and their whole mission is to bring back the Frankenstein's monster and take over. Basically, they want to take over, and they all have powers and they're all awesome. And then these kids find out, call themselves the Monster Squad, and they have to figure out a way to try and stop them because no one else believes them. So this film was an absolute classic. Okay, directed by Fred Decker, who did Night of the Creeps. Who wrote with Shane Black this? Not Wolfman's Got Nards. Monster Squad. He wrote this with Shane Black. Okay. Who did Lethal Weapon? He wrote Lethal Weapon. He wrote some of the Predator films. All kinds of amazing movies. Shane Black is known for writing buddy movies, like Lethal Weapon's like a buddy cop movie. Yeah. He wrote Lethal Weapon 2. I'm pretty sure. There's a movie called Nice Guys. Mm-hmm. It's a much newer movie actually. That's got two really good people in it. It's Russell Crowe and someone else I should know the name of. But
it's comedy.
It's a comedy. Well, it's kind of
Vince Vaughn, is it?
No, it's not Vince Vaughn. No, the other he's super popular. I'll figure it out in a minute.
Sounds familiar.
It's called Nice Guys. He's known for writing these movies that are funny as hell but have action. Mm-hmm. And so Shane Black wrote the Monster Squad with Fred Decker, and Fred Decker directed it. Fred Decker directed Night of the Creeps. So Fred Decker is like this cult icon director of the 80s. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like only certain... So the documentary that we have right now that's playing on Look Who, it's playing on the Frightener channel on Look Who, is called Wolfman's Got Nards, and it's a documentary specifically about the cultural impact of the Monster Squad. And it's actually made one of the main stars in the movie as the little kid. He's all grown up, and he's had his whole life off of the Monster Squad. Right. It's like one of the only movies he's ever been in. He's been in a few other things here and there. Yeah. But, in terms of, films and stuff, he does like the Monster Paloozas and the horror conventions, and he does these whole things, and he made this documentary about how he's like this dude. He played in this movie as a kid, and he launched his whole life. Yeah, everything is Monster Squad. Everything is kind of defined. Not even like everything is literally Monster Squad.
It's like the kid from Christmas Story. Like what else?
That's it.
It's like forever. This is
everything is you or Ralphie from Christmas Story. Yeah. This is a very similar. So this kid, a man now, grew up and he was like, my whole life has been Monster Squad, and I've had a whole career off of the Monster Squad, and there's so many cult followers, Imagine how many fans this dude met. Right. How many people? Oh my God! I can't believe I'm meeting the fucking kid from the Monster Squad, and it's just this random movie. And a lot of people don't even know what this is. Have you know the Monster Squad? You do? Okay. Yeah. I mean, so he decided he's going to make a documentary. Mm-hmm. So because it's him, he got Fred Decker and all the people that were involved with it. It's not just like a fan made. This is the dude was in the movie, he's the main star of the movie.
Right.
And he made this documentary. So that's how you know it's like really, really good. So let's watch the trailer for Wolfman's Got Nards. And I watched this trailer already once, but check it out.
The first time I ever saw Monster Squad,
I was at a sleepover party with a friend of mine.
It was on HBO.
Every time we go to the video store, that's what I'd rent.
I even had a bootleg DVD.
The word got out. Everything we had seen up till then had all been kid stuff, and this was the first taste of something dangerous.
These kids are real kids.
We were a part of the squad.
we went to school with them and we are them.
This movie resonates.
They put up the ticket saying Monster Squad Reunion.
It sold out real fast.
Wait, you know this movie?
I never got the sense that this movie was finding a new audience or that its original audience were enjoying it again.
I did try to start my own Monster Squad.
We never actually performed any jobs.
That guy tried to
Find
start his own
lifelong
Monster
friends
Squad.
because you have this one weird thing in common that nobody else knows about.
This is a zine I did. It's called I Had Rudy.
That's a character in the film. She made a magazine about one
What a
random
really
guy.
pleasant surprise that this seed that we planted grew into something.
It's like shooting a basket in 1987 and then it doesn't go in until 20 years later.
So that's the
Looks
thing.
fun.
So it's like, you know,
I feel like I need to watch the original Monster Squad and then watch this. Is
if
that
you-
recommended or?
there's no reason for you to watch this if you haven't seen the Monster Squad.
Okay,
There's
all right.
absolutely no reason. This documentary is in a way specifically for me and my group of people. Like you grew up with it. You know what I mean?
And they never made a sequel. It was just like a one-off.
They never made a sequel.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Wow, it might have been.
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Nah, man. You know, sequels, it's very rare that you have
Yeah.
a sequel that even lines up with the first one.
Right.
There's very few and far between.
Yeah.
And people will argue about it all day long.
There are those films that are really impactful when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And you grow up and you have friends, like we're friends, and you
Yeah.
like strongly recommend
Yeah.
this film that
And
you
I'm
saw
like-
when you were 12 or 13 years
Yeah,
old.
and I'm like, I can't believe
And
you've
it's
never
like-
seen this. But then you have a documentary like this, and it's like, you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Like, there's like a whole thing about it
Yeah.
that's like, it's a cultural, impactful thing.
Yeah.
You know, it culturally impacts, you know, a whole generation of people.
So I feel like we need to talk a little bit about the actual Monster Squad, you know, before we get into Wolfman Gets Nards. So Monster Squad, these monsters come back to life, and the kids only see it, or give me a little.
No. So the you know, basically they're the monsters. It starts off with Dracula.
Okay.
There's a plane that's moving a bunch of monsters. They're rolling crates, and Dracula.
And these monsters are actual monsters. Or
Yeah,
they're like,
Dracula. Well, you don't know where some of them come from. There's one dude. The Wolfman's like just the Wolfman. He lives in this town, and
they're all on a plane.
They're all on a plane being shipped somewhere.
But they're not.
And
like,
they're in crates, right?
They're not like mummies, or maybe they're not like dolls.
No, they're real. They're actual.
monsters.
So the mummy is, you know, the mummy is, for example, in a museum.
Okay.
In the city, and the mummy
comes life.
back to life.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense.
So Dracula is like this dude who he's got his team, right? And it's you know, he brings them out with, he's got like the staff, and he's basically summons them all back to life because he's Dracula. So they all get together. So you know, you see, you know, the Wolfman comes over. You know, they all are in this one spot. That's why they congregate there. And the Wolfman comes out. The Creature. He's just called Creature.
Yeah.
Creature from the Black Lagoon as he comes out of the water.
Okay.
Fucking, you know, there's like all kinds of like the mummy's in the museum. He walks out of the museum, and there's all these comical lines.
I wonder if I saw that. I might.
Dude, it's so good.
I mean, the plot sounds like it could be a franchise. Damn it.
It's better than a franchise because it's something that, like the dude said, like it missed its. It's almost like it missed its major mark back in the day. It's like he said, he put it perfectly. It's like shooting a basket in 1987, and it goes through 20 years later. You don't realize how impactful the movie is until you realize how much of a cult following it's actually had. And the kids that were my age and yours that grew up with a film like this, it was less known than the big ones. Like, you know, when we were growing up, we knew the big ones, like, I don't know, Top Gun and you know. Fucking all the major movies. You know, we knew Lethal Weapon. You know, you
But
obviously
those were adult films. Like,
those were adult
weren't,
films,
like,
right? This is a film that's meant. This is like a kind of a kids film
Yeah.
that's meant for adults and kids because the
Okay.
adults. But this was before the time of CGI, like
Yeah.
a Pixar shit.
Okay,
so
it's
the
all
great
costumes.
thing about so it's all costumes, but it's not that. But what I mean is like there's comical lines throughout the movie where the parent, the adult, is going to crack up about it because the Universal monsters are from the fucking 50s.
Right.
That's the whole point. So in
not around.
1987,
Yeah.
the parent, someone my age in 1987, grew up with the Universal monsters in 1950. If they watch this movie with their kid, they're loving it because it's the fucking monsters,
Right.
Frankenstein monster. So they bring back Frankenstein's monster, and what happens is he turns good. He meets a little girl, and the
Okay.
little girl loves him. And he comes back to life. He doesn't know what he is.
You don't give me too much. I'm gonna watch this.
I'm telling you, it's a great movie. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the whole wonder about it and the fantasy about it is in this day and age with, like we were talking about, and we got to do one of that again, the Back to the Future one. But
yeah,
you know, in this day and age, there was a certain kind of magic that happened in movies. Like think about it like this: there's not really movies that happen now that have such a following or yeah, there's action figures and shit and this and that, whatever, for Disney movies and stuff, but there's no Ghostbusters, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no, you know,
I think the bar is set so high to be a sequel these days. You got to just really blow it away at the box office.
Yeah, well,
in order
now.
to merit, you know, and then you know the kids today got Harry Potter has probably run its course.
That's a good one.
But like you know,
Harry Potter's a good
like
one.
the Ring, Lord of the Rings, like these epic.
See, Lord of the Rings
but those
is a
are
little more
billion-dollar
adult.
franchise that have to.
Yeah.
You know they got to hit these numbers in order to get
more.
To keep it going.
And that's the thing is like here's the thing: the difference between things like Lord of the Rings, for example, that's a much more adult movie than a film like even the Ghostbusters. Think about it.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters and Monster Squad and those kinds of films. There's something campy about them. They're funny and they're quirky, and they're you know what I mean. They're not like so.
Indiana Jones. That was
dude. Indiana Jones. So okay,
but those films were made for adults and kids.
A kid,
mostly adults in the actual movie versus this where it's all kids. Generally,
right, exactly right. And, well, no, there's a lot of adults in the movie
Okay.
too, but you know, there's it's focused around. It's more like like we said, the Goonies, where it's focused around the kids, and only the kids are able to figure. Like in the Goonies, the kids find, you know, One-Eyed Willie and the ship and all the gold and stuff like that. The kids find it. You know, they find a map in the dad's house in the attic, and it's like this relic, and then they find dead bodies along the way. Chester Copperpot's body, you know, and they go and the kids find the thing. Same thing here. It's where no one could save the day but the kids because no one believes them.
I love
and there's
that.
all these comedic lines throughout the movie.
Yeah, that you remember. Like, I don't know about you, but I got like two films.
What are they?
That I wish I don't know if there's any other cult people around it, but they make.
Tell me, I'll know if I'll tell you if I know.
I got two. One of them was Time Bandits.
Time Bandits, yeah.
Time Bandits, dude.
Everyone loved Time Bandits as a kid because they were
they
little people.
One of these for Time
Can we
Bandits.
say little people?
They're little people, but it was so exciting. It had me
adventure.
Like,
It's a fantasy.
And it was
it's a
educational.
Yep.
I got to go to ancient Greece. You know what I mean? I got to go to meet Napoleon. Like I learned more in history of watching that as a kid.
What other movie did you watch as a kid that also taught you about history? Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's true.
They also meet Napoleon, by the way.
That's
they
true.
also go to ancient
and that was
Greece,
Lampoon's. National Lampoon's did Time Bandits.
It did? Oh yeah, National Lampoon's did Time Bandits.
And they were all in it. You know, all the
but it's an adventurous movie. It's when you watch it as a kid, it's this grand adventure. Time Bandits.
But you
sick.
try to explain that to somebody, they don't get it. They gotta watch the movie. But doesn't encapsulate the energy of that time?
And that's my point. My whole
hallway,
and that's my point. Like you can tell me the second one in a second, but what I want to express is that back in the day of this, like Monster Squad and movies like that, like we talked about, Back to the Future, E.T., all the Spielberg shit, Indiana Jones, even movies like this, Lethal Weapon, everything had magic in it. Now it's not. I don't feel this. Maybe I don't know if I just grew up.
Maybe the CGI
CGI sucked the life out of everything, but I'm not going to get into that. The point is that those movies had magic. There were things that, like, movies don't, you know, if I was a kid now and I watched, like, you know, whatever's out in the movie theater, you know, I wouldn't cry. But when I was a kid and I watched E.T., I fucking cried. Yeah. You know, because E.T.'s dying and he's like, you know, you cry.
Could it be that
I'm grown up?
When you're a kid, it's magic. Or is it just...
I'll give you the answer. You want the answer? It is not. because I can still watch E.T. and I can still watch Back to the Future and I can still watch the Monster Squad, and it's still, I feel the same. The magic is there.
Okay.
Movies like that, for a person that grew up in that time, Ghostbusters, still watch the Ghostbusters. Indiana Jones, I watch it all the time. I just showed my kid Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. She fucking loved it. Okay. You know, these movies, and she doesn't like, you know, she loves E.T. too. Yeah. I show her these movies because they're movies that are, there's something about them that sure, like,
but you know what it is, back then you were so reliant on the acting and the story. You couldn't do fancy,
not just that, but the music, the scores of these films were everything.
You couldn't rely on, you know, the technology,
only just visual. Yeah, like my kid will watch. I watch Poltergeist with my kid. She's now just turned 13. She was 12. I'm sorry, when I watched Poltergeist with her, she was 8 years old.
That was probably not a good idea, but
she grew up with horror movies. Doesn't matter. That's one of my favorite horror movies, if not my favorite of all time, is Poltergeist. And you watch Poltergeist as she's a kid. She's watched all kinds of movies. She knows CGI, whatever. Excuse me. She watches, you know, like Jurassic Park, you know, which is one of the first major films to utilize CGI.
And I like that.
Industrial Light
I felt
Magic.
magic with that.
Yeah, that's why the company is called Industrial Light
and
Magic.
the cinematography was,
and that's Spielberg, and that's John Williams doing the score, and that's why the same Spielberg and John Williams. Yeah. That's his dude. Everyone's got Tim Burton's got Danny Elfman to do the scores. Everyone's got their team. Yeah. You know, you notice how some people use this, even like Tim Burton uses the same people. Yeah. He always uses Johnny Depp 100%. And his shit.
They all do it.
Not all of them, but some, like Coen Brothers sometimes use the same people. But the thing is, the way movies are built and come together, the magic isn't the same. They wouldn't, you know, like my kid, when she watched Poltergeist, she wasn't scared. When the movie was over, she was like, let's watch it again. As soon as it ended. 8 years old. You know, she loves the Goonies. She wanted to watch the Goonies. A couple months ago, she was like, let's watch the Goonies. I was like, all right. We watched the Goonies. It's like, not only do you feel a job well done, but, you know, that proves to you that these movies go from generation. She's a kid who, when she wanted to watch the Goonies again, she was 12. This was only a few months ago. You know, we watched it a couple times throughout the years. But if a movie like the Goonies, I mean, come on, dude. Yeah. There's no CGI in the Goonies. Yeah. You know, that's proof that it lasts through generations. Yeah. That she felt the magic of the Goonies.
Well, nothing's going to be more compelling than story.
Nothing but the way the story is told.
Yeah.
If you can have a great story and it's told shit.
I mean all that too.
Yeah,
it's got to be delivered, executed.
Yeah. So Time Bandits is one. What's your second?
Time Bandits.
And I agree 100%.
Yeah, Time Bandits, and remember Weird Science?
Do I remember Weird Science?
Dude,
are you kidding me, dude?
Remember that dude?
Weird Science? Who? Talking about Chet? Chet? I'll quote Weird Science.
Chet was like...
Dude, I'll quote Weird Science all day.
Listen, Lisa? Remember that dude?
No, that was...
that was the
Chet's
dude
the brother. Okay, first of all, let me lay it out.
That was the little brother, the nerd, which was Michael Anthony Hall. That was in
Lisa,
Breakfast Club.
Lisa. He's all drunk.
Yeah, but you saw the diversity, right?
Yeah, they take him to the black club. He's like, give me the key. They love him. He's all drunk.
All those lines.
Yeah.
And he had that was on the heels of the Breakfast Club. And he also played a nerd in that. So he kind of like typecast.
I'm not sure which, they might have been right at the same time. Yeah, they were so
I think
close.
It was right after.
But I agree, Weird Science was a fantastical movie because they made this super hot chick with their computer. Oh my god, it was so good, right? Even Ron's like, yeah, dude, like, and yeah, because it was what's her face? Oh, it's killing me. What's her name?
It was her and the girl from Rocky that were kind of competing for
the girl from Rocky.
Sylvester's ex-wife. What's her name?
The girl,
the tall. She was a Russian's wife actually. Oh, but she was Sylvester Stallone's girlfriend in real life.
Brigitte Nelson.
That's right.
Brigitte Nielsen was yes, she
so
was Rocky.
Kinda...
Who she? Funnily enough, she was she was Drago's in Rocky 4. She's Drago's wife in Rocky 4.
Right.
Who kills Apollo in Rocky 4. That's a movie.
But she was kind of competing with the girl from Science in terms of like the hot girl during that
hot
time.
European. Yeah. I mean, look.
Both English, I think.
I can't. No. She's. I think she was really like Russian or not Russian.
Was she?
No, not Russian. She's Norwegian or something like that.
Yeah.
And Oh my God, I can't. It's killing me now.
It might be Michelle something.
It's killing me. It's so stupid. My wife would be laughing at me right now. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I agree with the Weird Science thing 1,000%. Those are two great movies. And Time Bandits, and those are. I wish someone would make we should make a documentary about either Time Bandits or I would love to make a documentary about Weird Science. Michael Anthony Hall would jump on that shit. He was amazing. But yeah, so anyway,
I forgot the other kid that was in it. Was two. I forgot the other guy. I don't even remember him
because he wasn't really in a lot of other stuff.
After that was
the brunette kid. The other dude, the friend. He was great in that movie. I'll never forget the scene where you think remember the scene where you think he's we'll wrap it up, but you think he's sleeping in bed. Yeah. He's got the shoes up and he sits up and it's his hands. Remember that? I could quote Weird Science back to front. That's another absolute classic. Yeah. But I think it's amazing that people are understanding the cultural value and impact of movies like that and movies like The Monster Squad, and then they're making documentaries about it and seeing, how that, letting people into a cultural phenomenon that they might not even know about.
Right.
So
20 years later, the guy said, right? Kind of resurgence, which might bring new life to some of these to be remakes one day. Who knows?
I hope not. I hate remakes. I hate all
because
remakes.
you kill the magic won't come back.
It just kills the vibe of it. It's like, why are you going to take a name and, like the Poltergeist remake, terrible. Yeah. The remakes are, few and far between. But most of the time they should never do them. Just think of some new shit and rock it out. Right. But the Monster Squad. So again, this is called Wolfman's Got Nards. Okay. Awesome documentary. Yeah. Again, made by the kid who was in the Monster. So what's his name again? I should know it too. It's so look who's in the document. Seth Green's in it. Zach Galligan. You know who Zach Galligan is? He's the kid from the Gremlins. Zach Galligan. Ryan Lambert, Andrew Gower, that's him. He's the kid. He's who made it, and he's the kid in the Monster Squad. Shane Black is in it. There's a ton of people in this documentary, along with fans, and that's kind of what makes documentaries like this cool. Is like it's not just fans. Oh, I'm a fan. Cool. We'll talk about Monster Squad all day. You get me a dude that loves the Monster Squad, and we'll sit here for 2 hours straight, watch the whole movie, and just go up. But the cool thing is he's got people that were in the movie, people that directed the movie, people that wrote the movie, and it's cool to hear from those people because, it's cool to hear how I was a fan of the actual film. You know how it impacted you, but how did it impact the dude who wrote the Monster Squad? How did Shane Black now being like, wow, really? Maybe that was Shane Black who said that. Like, you know this movie? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, sure, this is a dude that wrote Lethal Weapon, and a bunch of other shit, and people know those movies, but, Lethal Weapon was mainstream. Monster Squad wasn't mainstream. Yeah. It's not a B movie, really, but, it was filmed
on the marketing budget.
No, they didn't get the same. It wasn't the same level of film. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's cool. So that's Wolfman's Got Nards.
Yes. On Frightener. On Look Who.
Playing now on Look Who everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks y'all for another episode. Playing now. We'll see you next time.